The Shadowlands Mount Farm World Tour continues, picking up where we left off and moving on to Bastion as our next zone. The first mount for us to talk about is going to be the Ascended Skymane, and this is going to come from the rare spawn the Ascended Council, or at least when you defeat the Ascended Council there'll be a box, and inside that box there'll be around a 5% chance of getting the mount. Now you can get this mount regardless of what Covenant you are, but getting it to spawn is a little bit trickier. What we need to do is click on these 5 Vesper bells that are going to be all around the zone, and all 5 of them need to be clicked within 5 minutes of the first one being clicked. So doing this solo without flying is going to be very difficult. Some people have done it, wouldn't really recommend it though. If you do have flying, it becomes a lot more possible, but what you'll do is click on the first bell, and then from there you've got less than 5 minutes to get to the other 4 bells, and then the rare will spawn and you can make your way to the rare. However, do keep in mind, once that final bell is clicked, the rare will spawn, so if someone's there waiting for the rare to spawn and you spawn it for them, they can kill it before you even get there. So I would recommend clicking the bell that's closest to where the rare spawns last, because that's going to give you more chance of getting there before someone snipes it from you. The bells themselves have around a 2-hour respawn, and this is a daily lockout rare, meaning you can only kill it once per day per character for a chance at loot. The next mount up for us to talk about is going to be Sundancer. This will be a 100% drop chance if you meet the criteria, otherwise it will be a much lower drop chance. So before you head to the zone, buy yourself an item on the auction house called the Sky Strider Glider. It's relatively cheap, it should be under 1,000 gold depending on your realm, shouldn't cost much at all though. You pick up this item and then we head to Bastion, and in the bottom corner of the zone you should see a kind of statue thing that we can click on, and that is going to give us the first buff. Once we have that buff, you want to make your way to kind of like one of the higher edges a little bit more north, and you should see Sundancer kind of flying through the sky up and down. If it's been killed recently, you will need to wait for the respawn, but eventually you'll see it prancing up and down in the sky, and what you want to do is wait for it to come. You want to jump off and use your glider as it's coming. You want to fly towards it and be clicking, because as you click you're going to kind of mount onto it, and now you'll be able to kind of press a button that will do damage to it, and you just want to keep doing that button. It will be doing progressive damage to you as well, but you should be able to press the button enough that you kind of beat it, and now it'll land and it'll bow and you'll be able to fight it. And now you'll fight Sundancer and kill it. And once it's killed, if you're the one who used the buff on the statue and the glider, that gives you all the criteria you need to get the mount on 100% drop chance. So now you'll get yourself that Sundancer mount. The next mount up is the Silverwind Larion, and if you have flying, this should take you about 40 to 50 minutes, maybe a little bit longer depending on if you get lost at any point. But if you don't have flying, unfortunately you aren't going to be able to get this within an hour. It is going to be pushing more towards 2 hours worth of work. Although this is a great looking mount, so I did want to cover it. So what we need to do for this mount is to collect 50 anima shards within Bastion. They're going to be all over the place, some of them will even be inside the dungeons. So you're basically going to be going across the entire zone. What I would recommend to make life a little bit easier is one of 2 things. The first one I would say is handy notes and then get the Shadowlands plugin. That's going to mark your map with all the different locations so you can fly to it, and you might have a little bit of issue kind of flying around and trying to see where it is exactly, but you'll know the pretty much specific location you need to be. You could also get TomTom and put in all the coordinates that I'll have a link for in the description below, and that'll have an arrow on your screen and it'll kind of point you towards where you need to go as well. Once you've got your 50, or if you think you have your 50, there is an NPC called Forge Light which we'll find kind of on the northeast of the zone. We'll head over to him, and if you have your 50, he'll craft the Crystal Mallet of Heralds for you, and if you don't, he'll basically be like, no, you've still got more, go and get more. Although you should know when you have 50, because you will get the achievement Shard Labor, which is to find all the lost anima crystals within Bastion. Once you have the mallet, then the next step is to head over to the Citadel of Loyalty, and kind of in the middle of this you'll find a bell. We'll use the hammer on the bell, the mount will come down and we'll loot the mount. Now one final thing to note with this is you do need to be level 60 and above, and as I said, flying is going to make this a ton easier. So if you are close to flying, it might be worth finishing that off before you get that done, but this is still more than doable on a ground mount. Next up, we'll be moving over to a dungeon drop, which is going to be the Necrotic Wake, which is found within Bastion. And if we kill the last boss of this dungeon, Nalthor the Rhinebender, you'll have around a 1% chance of getting Marrowfang. Although this is only going to drop on Mythic difficulty, so do make sure you are on Mythic dungeon difficulty before you head inside. As a decently geared level 70 character like 420 eye level, which is very easy to get, you should have no issues with this dungeon. The mobs are quite trivial. There are going to be a few packs where if you overpull, they'll kind of chain CC you, so if you need to take your time, do so. But for the most part, you'll kill the bosses in a good enough amount of time that they won't really do the mechanics anyway, and you should be able to clear this nice and easy each week. I did also want to mention, if you do Murazon's Rise on Mythic or Mythic Plus, You will have a chance from that last boss to get the Quantum Courser, and one of the mounts that can be awarded from that is Marrowfang as well. And of course, as this is a mythic dungeon, you're only going to be able to do this once per week per character. The next mount up to talk about will be the Gilded Prowler, and this will be available to anyone regardless of Covenant. And to get this mount, we need to get exalted with the zone faction, which is the Ascended. So what you'll do is you'll do quests within the zones, you'll do the world quests, you can get a contract for the Ascended, which will give you extra rep when you do world quests within the Shadowlands. You can do the call-in/emissaries, you can do the Maw Assault when it is the Kyrian one in the Maw, and doing all that stuff will contribute and gain your reputation, so you can progressively make your way to Exalted. Once you are Exalted, you'll be able to pick up this mount from Nikos, who we'll find in Bastion, or from Mikaros, who we'll find in Oribos. Next up, we'll be moving on to the Kyrian Covenant mounts, and the first one to talk about will be the Phalynx of Courage, and this is going to come from the 4th chapter of the main storyline. Once you go through that entire quest line of chapter 4, you'll have the final quest build in the base, and from that you'll be awarded the mount. The next mount will be the Eternal Phalynx of Courage, and this will come from chapter 7 of the quest line, A Vessel and an Ardenweald, and when you complete the quest A New Age, you'll be awarded the mount. The next mount up will be the Phalynx of Purity, and this will require you to purchase it from the renowned quartermaster within the Kyrian base, and it can be purchased once you hit renown 23 for 5,000 anima. The next mount will be the Eternal Phalynx of Purity, and once you hit renown 39, you'll just be awarded this mount into your bags. There's no need to purchase it. The next mount up will be the Elysian Aquilon, and once you hit renown 45, you'll get this mount in your bags. There's also no need to purchase it either. The next mount up is going to be the Ascendant's Aquilon, which when you hit renown 70, you can purchase it from the renowned quartermaster for 7,500 anima. The next mount up is going to be the Phalynx of Humility, which is going to require you to have the anima conductor to at least tier 1. So you'll have to build that building, and once it's built, you'll be able to funnel anima over to the Temple of Purity. Once you head over there, there'll be a little bell that you can click, and this will start kind of like a little puzzle trial. You basically have to avoid things, make your way to the bell, click in it, and you'll get a chest, and then looting that chest will now have a chance of giving you the Phalynx of Humility. Now this can only be done once per day per character, however this can also be purchased, so if you don't want to go for the RNG method, instead what you can do is purchase it from the renowned quartermaster for 5,000 anima and 100 grateful offerings. The rest of the mounts we're going to talk about are all going to come from the Path of Ascension building, so you'll have to set up this building and upgrade it to the needed ranks for each of the mounts to be able to get these mounts from the system. However, it is worth noting now that we're level 70, the scaling on this has been very broken, and just going in there as a level 70, you'll basically knock over the bosses in here. It's no longer a challenge, so if you were avoiding this in the past because it was kind of difficult, then don't worry now because it is completely trivial. So the first mount up is going to be the Phalynx of Loyalty, and to get this we need our Path of Ascension to at least rank 2. That'll unlock the boss Mad Mortimer, and we need to kill him on Loyalty difficulty, which is going to be the second difficulty you can do. In terms of unlocking these bosses and the different difficulties, what you'll want to do is the quest chains that are kind of just outside the entrance for the Path of Ascension. These will send you to go and kind of unlock the bosses. Once you've unlocked the bosses, you'll go through fighting them all, and then once you've fought all the ones that are available, you'll unlock the next difficulties. And it's just a case of repeating that over and over again until you get the higher difficulties. You unlock more bosses, you kill the bosses, you get the new difficulties, and you keep rinsing and repeating until you get all the rewards. The next mount up to talk about is going to be the Eternal Phalynx of Loyalty, which is first of all going to require you to get your Path of Ascension to rank 4. That'll give you access to the boss called Fren Theoic. We'll pretend that's how you pronounce that. And then you need to do it on Wisdom difficulty. So you'll have to go through the fights again, unlock Wisdom. And once we're on the boss, we need to do the achievement called Death Forsworn, which is to defeat the boss on Wisdom without damaging her at all before destroying all of her phylacteries. So you'll just run around the room, make sure you're not using any spells that can do AoE, and you'll just DPS down the phylacteries. Once they're all dead, you can kill the boss and you'll get that achievement, no problem. Once that achievement is done, there'll be an NPC nearby called Binkiros, and you'll be able to purchase the mount from them for 2,500 anima. The next mount to talk about will be the Eternal Phalynx of Humility, and this should require a Path of Ascension rank 4, but it's been bugged, and I believe it still is bugged where you can do all of this at rank 3. So what we need to do for this is the achievement Learning from the Masters, which is to defeat Calistine and Athenos in Trial of Wisdom using all 3 of the different followers that you can use. Now this should require rank 4 because to defeat Athenos on Wisdom difficulty you do need rank 4 to access that, but people have said it's bugged in the past, and if you kill him on Courage, which can be done at rank 3, then you'll gain gain access to the mount and the achievement will still count. So if that does work, you only need rank 3. If it doesn't, you'll have to upgrade to rank 4 and progress until you unlock wisdom. And then finally we have the 4 mounts that are shared across all of the covenants, but you're going to be able to get them from the Path of Ascension too if you do want to take that option. The first one up is going to be the Pale Acid Maw, and for Kyrian you need to do the Bare Necessities achievement, which is to overcome a Trial of Wisdom without equipping any soulbind equipment. So you just won't select anything, you'll go in and kill a boss on wisdom. And as I said, the scaling is broken, so this is very trivial now. And once you've unlocked it, you can go purchase it from that same NPC I talked about earlier for 2,500 anima. So this will be gettable at a rank 3 Path of Ascension. The next shared mount is going to be the Silver-tipped Dreadwing, and this is going to come from the achievement Curse of Thirst, which is to defeat Craven in Trial of Wisdom after he's consumed 2 anima orbs. So he'll spawn the orbs, you have to wait till he's consumed them, and then once that's done you kill him and you'll gain the achievement. Once again, this mount is purchasable from the same NPC for 2,500 anima, and it will be obtainable at rank 3. The next mount up is going to be the Dauntless Duskrunner, which is going to come from Azarux, and this is a later on fight that you unlock at rank 4 of your Path of Ascension. You have to kill this on Wisdom difficulty as well, so you will have to kill a lot of the various fights. Once you have this on Wisdom though, you'll kill it and you just get the mount for free, you don't have to purchase it at all. And then the final of these mounts is going to be the Gruesome Flayedwing, which needs you to do the achievement All Colours of the Painbow, and this is to defeat Mad Mortimer after being afflicted by fiery veins, frozen and uncontrolled vomiting. The problem with this achievement though is the scaling actually works against us, as level 70 we can't get hit by all the various debuffs that we need to be able to fulfill the achievement requirements. So your options are either to use party syncing, where you'll get yourself kind of invited to a group and you'll party sync down, or you'll just come on a low level character and upgrade your kind of buildings on that, although it's going to make all the other fights harder. So getting this with the Kyrian is going to prove difficult, but if you are able to fulfill the achievement, then you are able to do this on a rank 2 Path of Ascension, and you can go and purchase it from the NPC once the achievement is done for 2,500 anima. Next up, we'll be moving over to Revendreth, and the first mount we're going to talk about is the Loyal Gorger. This is available to anyone regardless of Covenant, and this is going to be a rare drop. Now, before we can even get this to drop though, there is going to be a prerequisite of a quest. The quest is called the Endmire, and we're going to find it just kind of to the right of Darkhaven. You'll head over there, you'll do the quest the Endmire, and once that is done, the mob can now have a chance of dropping us that Loyal Gorger item that we'll need. So the rare that we're looking for is called the World Edge Gorger, but before we can get this to spawn, we're going to need an item called the Enticing Anima. This is going to drop from Devourer mobs pretty much across the zone. We're going to find a bunch of these Devourer mobs, you'll keep killing them, eventually get an Enticing Anima, and then we'll be able to get it to spawn. But if someone else spawns it for you and you take part in the kill, that's completely fine. Spawning it yourself isn't part of the prerequisites. All you need to do is be able to kill it. So once you kill the World Edge Gorger, you'll have around a 1% chance of getting the Impressionable Gorger spawn item, but once you loot this item, it'll actually instantly disappear out of your bag, so don't be looking in your bags because that will be gone. Instead though, you will see a kind of chat notification, and this is going to be notifying you about like the Gorger running away. What we're going to do then is head over to the Endmire, which is near Darkhaven. You'll head into the Endmire, and now your Gorger should come over to you and have a quest. And from here, you need to do 7 days worth of dailies with your little Gorger. You're going to train him up, and on the 7th day, you'll be awarded with the mount. Now, this doesn't need to be 7 days in a row. It just needs to be 7 days total. So keep heading there, do your dailies until you do get the mount. As this is a rare spawn as well, you're only going to be able to kill the World Edge Gorger once per day per character. The next mount to talk about will be the Endmire Flyer, and this is going to drop from a rare spawn called Famu the Infinite, once again available to any Covenant, and this once again being a rare, you can only kill it once per day per character. For this rare, you'll want to head just north of Darkhaven, and it won't be the rare itself up, but instead you'll find an NPC there called Seeker Hilda. You'll speak to them, there'll be waves of mobs, and you'll eventually kill through the mobs, and then the rare Famu the Infinite will spawn. You'll kill Famu, and you'll have around a 1% chance of getting that Endmire Flyer. If Seeker Hilda isn't there, it means the rare isn't currently up. You'll need to wait around an hour to be able to kill it again. The next mount to talk about is going to be Sinrunner Blanchy, and this is a great looking mount that can also fly now as well. In terms of getting this mount, it isn't too difficult, but you will have to do 6 days worth of daily tasks. So the way this mount is going to work is you'll need to first of all find Blanchy, and Blanchy is going to spawn kind of in this little stream that's found in the Endmire, just north of Darkhaven. It'll spawn every hour or two, and what's going to happen is it'll spawn and it'll run all the way over to kind of the Halls of Atonement. But if someone stands in front of it, it'll stop, and now you can interact with it. And you'll be able to interact with it for about 5 minutes before it despawns, and you'll have to wait another hour or two before it spawns again. And you're going to need to do this every day for the 6 days to be able to get the mount. Now, every day you find it and stop it, it's going to want a different item. So on the first day, the item we need is going to be a handful of oats, and I believe you can buy this on the auction house as well. But if you don't want to buy it, you're going to want to head over to Westfall, and in the kind of fields around Westfall where I'm showing you now, there's going to be these little sacks that we can click on. You'll be able to click on those, you'll get a handful of oats, and we're going to need 8 times handful of oats. So once you have 8 of them, now you've got the first thing that we need to be able to feed Blanchy. And it is worth noting as well that you can pre-prepare all of these items too, and you should definitely do that for the oats especially, because the first time you speak to Blanchy, if you have the oats all ready to go, then that will be day 1 completed. But you'll be able to get all the other items as well and have them in your bags ready for the various days that they're needed. For day 2, you're going to need the grooming brush, and we'll get this from an NPC called Snickersnee, who we'll find in Darkhaven. You'll just talk to them and get the brush. There's also going to be a bucket right next to them as well that we're going to need for day 4. So I'd recommend picking this up while you're here as well. For day 3, you're going to need these sturdy horseshoes, and we can find them all along the roads around Darkhaven. So you're going to run around, you need 4 sturdy horseshoes. Once you've clicked on 4 of them, you're ready to go for day 3. For day 4, it's going to be that empty water bucket that I mentioned earlier. You want to grab that water bucket and you want to take it to Ardenweald, or Bastion works as well, and you want to fill it up in any of the pools found around those 2 zones. For day 5, you're going to want the comfortable saddle blanket, and this one's a little weird. You want to head over to Wainecrypt Hill, and once you head over to where the black market auction house used to be, the night market, there's going to be an NPC here called Tatru, and they're going to sell you the comfortable saddle blanket. However, it's not going to be for gold, it's going to be a random item from Shadowlands that they want. So it could be some of the cloth from Shadowlands, some of the meat, some of the ore. You're just going to have to see what it wants on that day. Go and get the item, trade it in for the blanket, and now you've got the item needed for day 5. And then finally for day 6, we need 3 times Dread Hollow apples, and you'll buy these off an NPC called Mims, who will find just north of the flight path at the Charred Rampart. There'll be like a little inn here at the hole in the wall. You'll speak to Mims, you'll buy the items, and that is the last day of items we need. Now this doesn't need to be done 6 days in a row. If you miss a day, that's completely fine. So let's say you do day 1 and 2, and you have to go away for a week. Next time you see Blanchy, you'll be ready for day 3. So essentially every day you'll find Blanchy, you'll stand in front of it to stop it, you'll give it the items that it wants for the day, and once you've done your 6th day, you'll get the mount added to your bags, and now you've unlocked Blanchy. The next mount to talk about will be the Court Sinrunner, and this will be purchasable once you reach Exalted with the Court of Harvesters. To get Exalted, you're going to do mainly stuff within Revendreth, so you're going to do the quests in the zone, you're going to do world quests. If you put on a contract, any world quest you do across the Shadowlands will give you a little bit of rep. If you do the call-ins with the Revendreth people as well, you'll get a little bit of rep. And then finally, if you take part in the More Assault for the Venthyr, you'll get a little bit of reputation for that as well, although that's only available once every 2 weeks. Once you are Exalted, you'll be able to pick up the mount from Mistress Mihaela in Revendreth or Darvil the Frugal in Oribos. Next up, we're going to talk about the mounts that are for the Venthyr only, so if you're not the Venthyr Covenant, you're not going to be able to get these, and the first one up will be the Crypt Gargon. This is going to be available from chapter 5 of their campaign. Once you complete the quest Mirror Mirror, you'll be awarded with the Crypt Gargon. The next mount will be the Battle Gargon Vendric, and this will be available from chapter 9 of the Venthyr campaign. Once you complete the quest the Medallion of Dominion, you'll be awarded with the mount. The next one will be the Sinfall Gargon, and this will be purchasable once you hit Renown 23, and you'll be able to purchase it from the Renown Quartermaster for 5,000 anima. Then at Renown 39, you'll get the Gravestone Battle Gargon, and this won't need to be purchased. Once you hit Renown 39, you'll automatically get it. The next mount will be the Sinfall Gravewing, and once you hit Renown 45, you'll automatically get this mount as well. No need to purchase it. And then once you hit Renown 70, you'll be able to purchase the Obsidian Gravewing from the Renown Quartermaster for 7,500 anima. The next mount up will be the Inquisition Gargon, and this is purchasable once you hit Exalted with the Avowed. Now the Avowed themselves don't require you to be a Venthyr to get the reputation, so if you're another Covenant currently, you can grind out the reputation. However, to purchase the mount, you will need to be Venthyr. The Avowed is a bit of a weird rep, and it is a long grind to get through. There's going to be a quest chain to unlock this reputation. The first we'll find kind of in the south of the Halls of Atonement. You'll head over there, and if the quest isn't available for you there, what we can do instead is head straight to the Accursor, who will find more on the north end of the Halls of Atonement. They should have the quest called An Abuse of Power. Either way, get yourself on that quest chain, go through it, and then we'll be able to start the Avowed reputation grind. So in the early stages, what you're going to want to do is grind the Halls of Atonement dungeon itself, because these mobs and stuff in there are going to give you reputation, but this will stop towards Honored. Some stuff in there will still give rep, but the bulk of the reputation is going to stop. So grind that that until you hit kind of the honored stage. And then once we're honored, there are going to be a few ways of gaining reputation, but the one that I would recommend is going to be finding these fugitive souls who are outside in the kind of uninstance version of the Halls of Atonement. You'll fly around there. I definitely recommend making a macro. You'll find them, you'll go and click on them, you'll hand them in, and then once you hand them in, you'll get some reputation, but there'll also be these little blobs that pop out, and killing these blobs will give reputation too. If there's no people around, what I was doing was I would click on a soul, I'd go and hand it in, I'd go and find another couple of souls, I'd come back, and those blobs are still on the ground kind of waiting for you. So you're not just stood there waiting for all of them to spawn, you can be proactively doing stuff. The problem is if there are other people around, they may snipe your blobs, which means you are going to lose reputation there. The other method for gaining reputation is doing the Inquisitor Sinstones. So you'll grind the Sinstone fragments, you'll kill the rares, and you'll be able to progress you up to a Grand Inquisitor Sinstone. But this method just doesn't feel as good as flying around and getting the fugitive souls. It's just easier and quicker in my opinion. Regardless of the method you choose though, this is going to be a very long reputation grind. It's going to take you multiple hours, probably 15 plus hours to get this done. So do be prepared for a long grind. Once you do hit Exalted, you'll be able to purchase the mount from Archivist Janira for 2000 Sinstone fragments, so do make sure you're keeping those aside. The next mount to talk about will be from Hopecrusher, and that is going to be the Hopecrusher Gargon. Now this rare can only drop this mount if you're Venthyr, so if you don't have Venthyr currently, there's no point in killing this rare because it will have a 0% chance of dropping the mount. If you have Venthyr though, it's going to be around a 1.5 to 2% drop chance, and this rare is on a pretty much exact 1 hour respawn. I'm not too sure if it's from when the rare is spawned or when its body despawns, but either way it's going to be pretty much an hour from when it's spawned or killed, so you have a good time frame of when to be around, especially if you're doing this on alts, because you can only kill this once per day per character. If you have alts who are in Venthyr, you'll know pretty much when to bring them out there to have your second or third attempt of the day. The next mount up will be the Horrid Dreadwing, and this is going to have two methods of obtaining it. The first is going to be from killing the rare called Harika the Horrid, and to get this rare to spawn, what you need to do is level up your Anima Conductor until you can funnel Anima over to Waycrypt Hill. Once Anima's been funneled over there, you'll head over there and you'll loot the bolt, which is kind of nearby in the area. It'll be very obvious to see. Once you've looted the bolt, there'll be an NPC nearby called Wing Smash. You'll be able to talk to them and select Let's Smash, and then he'll fire the bolt, the rare will come down, you'll kill it, and you'll have a lowest 1 to 2% chance of getting that mount. Now alternatively, if you don't want to go for the rare chance, instead you can purchase it from the Renowned Quartermaster for 5,000 Anima and 100 Grateful Offerings. The next mount up is going to be Desire's Battle Gargon, and this is going to come from the Ember Court. You will need your Ember Court to be tier 4, and you also need to have the Countess in your Ember Court, and you need to have grinded her up to Best Friends. Now they've changed the Ember Court recently, so you can do this every day instead of every week, so getting the Countess to Best Friends is going to take a hell of a lot less time, but you can hold off until an event like Brewfest is around, and you're going to get considerably more reputation every single one you do, so that's going to speed things up a ton. But either way, do the Ember Court with the Countess as a guest, keep getting her to Exalted or Best Friends, and then the next Ember Court you do, you'll be awarded the mount from the box. The next mount up is going to be Silessa's Battle Gargon, and this is going to come from having your travel network ranked up to rank 3. You'll gain access to these broken mirror fragments. You'll be able to repair broken mirrors, go through them, and you'll have loot inside the broken mirror. Every day there's going to be 3 broken mirrors for you to repair across Revendreth, and they're kind of broken into groups. So if you're able to find the first mirror that needs to be repaired, then you'll know the other 2 that you need to repair as well, because it's always going to be that kind of set group. So for example, in group 1, there's going to be a mirror that's near the cooking pot, near kind of Sinfall, and you'll repair that mirror. And now we know the next 2 are going to be the one with the elite spider nearby, and the one kind of south of the zone with the sleeping wildlife nearby. And it's always going to be like that. So it's just a case of finding one of the mirrors from one of the groups as quickly as possible, and then you'll know the other 2 mirrors to go and hunt down. What I recommend doing is using the travel network to travel over to Dominance Keep. And then once you're at Dominance Keep, there's going to be one of the mirrors from group 1 and one of the mirrors from group 4 very close by, so you can check both of those locations. If none of them are there, then you know it's not going to be group 1 or group 4 for the day, so it just speeds things up. And if you do find one, you know it's going to be group 1 or group 4, and you can go from there. Either way, keep doing your mirrors every day, and eventually you will get the mount drop from the chest. We do also have the 4 mounts that are shared across the 4 covenants, and for Venthyr to obtain these, you need to do stuff around the Ember Court. The first one up is going to be the Dauntless Duskrunner, and this will have a chance of coming when you have Bastion guests in your Ember Court. So Mechanicos and the Pole March, when they're in your Ember Court and you keep them happy, you'll have a chance at the end to be able to get this mount, but it does require a rank 3 Ember Court. The next one up will be the Pale Acid wanted more, and this will have a chance of coming from the chest at the end if you have Arden Wheeled guests. So this will be the Hunt Captain and also Lady Moonbearer, and once again you will need an Ember Court rank 3. The next one will be the Gruesome Flayedwing, and this will come from having Maldraxxus guests in your party, so Baroness Vash or Alexandros Morgraine, and once again you will need a rank 3 Ember Court for this. The final shared mount will be the Silvertip Dreadwing, and this one will actually come from the reputation tied to the Ember Court. So once you hit Exalted with the Ember Court, you'll be able to purchase from the NPC nearby Tamel for 5,000 anima, and this can be done at rank 1. So that's all the Venthyr specific mounts out the way. There is one more mount in the zone that we can obtain, and that is going to come from Castle Nathria, and that will be doing the Glory of the Nathria Raider achievement. Once you do that achievement series, you'll get the Rampart Screecher. So now we've covered the 4 base Shadowlands zones. Next episode we'll be moving over to the Moor to cover the Moor stuff and also the Corphia stuff. So there's going to be a lot to dive into there as well, so look out for the next episode. Outside of that, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Look out for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.